Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Well, first tonight, there are calls to stop the scaling back of JobSeeker, with charities fearing the changes could send vulnerable Tasmanians over a financial cliff. Anglicare is warning affordable rentals will dry up when payments are reduced. The spotlight is again on the state government to keep people out of poverty.
Paving the way for a $300 million housing project.
It's known as Birch Row and it comprises 80 townhouses and freestanding homes.
It's the first stage of a 10-year master plan aiming to lure families into Kingston.
The vision we've got for Kingbury is for this to be a place that people don't have to leave.
The announcement coincides with a troubling report by Anglicare revealing Tasmanians on JobSeeker will struggle to find rental properties if payments are wound back. For single renters on welfare, affordable listings could drop to zero if the lower pre-COVID payments return in December. Tasmania's rent protections also expire this month, leading to calls for the state government
increase and extend the rental protections for people in the private rental market.
We're certainly having a good look at that, and the Minister responsible will be having something more to say about our support for renters in the near future.
There had been hopes a flood of Airbnbs onto the market would boost supply, but it hasn't happened.
So we only have about 575 rental properties available across the entire state at the moment, which is a pretty small number realistically when you consider the number of people looking for rentals.
New CoreLogic data shows rent values actually decreased by 3.5%. And with interstate tourism dropping off, so might house prices.
I would expect that over the coming months, growth rates are going to soften across Hobart and we might start to see some more significant declines.
Watch this space. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
It has been a year unlike any other for Peter Gutwein, but his handling of the coronavirus crisis has led to a major boost in popularity. New polling figures have revealed 70% of people now prefer him as their Premier. To explain more, we're joined by reporter Ruby Kamain. Good evening, Ruby. Just how significant is this newfound popularity?
Kim, what we've seen today is one of the largest gaps between a state government and an opposition in recent years. Last month, EMRS asked Tasmanian voters about their political preferences, and what that data has shown is just how popular the relatively new Premier has become, despite only taking over the role in January. Now, as I said earlier, an astonishing 70% of those surveyed said he's their preferred leader. That's a huge number, as well as a massive jump from around 40% in March. Obviously, since then, his sole focus has been on the state's COVID-19 situation, and that seems to have bolstered his likeability. Turning to voting intentions, and the Liberal Party as a whole is also more popular. But it's bad news for Labor and the Greens, with experts saying their combined vote is at a record low.
These results suggest an absolute lack of cut-through for the opposition parties at the moment. If anything like these numbers were to happen at an election, the Liberal government would retain its majority and probably increase its seat numbers.
So, Kim, Labor has a lot of catching up to do, with leader Rebecca White now facing a long and even tougher road to the next election.
And a man who pleaded guilty to killing a 22-year-old father last year has faced Hobart's Supreme Court. The court previously heard Shannon Duffy shot Jared Lee Turner in the head execution style at Colebrook near Richmond. Duffy is now in the midst of sentencing submissions, today with a new defence lawyer. He's expected to appear in court again next month. Meanwhile, a 21-year-old Richmond man has appeared in Hobart's Magistrates Court in relation to a fatal vehicle crash at Lamont in August last year. Luke John Foster is facing charges including negligent driving causing death and driving while exceeding the prescribed alcohol limit. He's yet to enter a plea, with the matter adjourned to next month. An alleged quarantine dodger has been slapped with a lofty fine after failing to self-isolate. Police say the 22-year-old woman returned from Queensland last month but wasn't home during a compliance check on Saturday. She was found at a different address today and will now have to pay more than $700. Authorities say no members of the public were put at risk over the alleged breach. So far, more than 26,000 checks have been completed since March. Tasmanian sport will take a leap forward on the weekend when North Hobart Oval hosts the biggest crowd since the pandemic began. More than 1,000 fans will be allowed into the ground for the one-off trial, which could pave the way for other sports to follow suit.
North Hobart Oval is famous for its amphitheatre atmosphere, but only now will some of that roar be restored.
To have increased crowds at the game, have more noise, more atmosphere, that's just sensational. That's what footy's all about.
1,250 people will be allowed into the ground this weekend for the clash between North Hobart and North Launceston, up from the previous limit of 500. Public Health will see how it goes and then decide who else can let more people in.
We have to social distance. We don't want people standing up in the wet area. We want people staying apart.
The cap for North Hobart Oval sits at 25% of the ground's seated capacity. The limit is less than what's allowed in Queensland, where venues can be filled to 50%. Likewise in Perth, where Optus Stadium can have 30,000 people, and WA's Premier is pushing for that to be increased. Adelaide Oval had allowed 20,000, but that recently reduced to 10, while the AFL games in Darwin were capped at 25% capacity.
It might be conservative, but the health and wellbeing of Tasmanians is our number one priority.
Should restrictions be relaxed, it'll be up to the clubs to work out how to keep fans seated. Grounds like Windsor Park, which rely on standing room, could adopt a drive-in theatre approach where supporters stay in their car.
Gaining some momentum that we might be able to open the gates a little more and get 1,000 or 1,200 in, and I know North Hobart have really led the way.
There's no time frame for when other venues and sports can change their capacity limits too. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
As a multi-million-dollar CBD campus makes progress in Launceston, the University of Tasmania has revealed the direction for its current school grounds. The site is set to become an industry hub, as well as the new base for hundreds of staff.
As UTAS continues to hype up its long-awaited move to Inveresk, the message today, the ageing Newnham buildings won't be neglected.
Significant further developments for this campus.
The university announcing a master plan for the site's future, which will see the Tasmanian Institute of Agriculture move its entire research team from Hobart.
The amazing new labs that we have there are going to be really strengthening our offering, and it should increase our attractiveness to future students.
The focus on the booming farm sector, planting the seed for more local enrolments.
Which just makes the course a lot more interesting, I think, for the students.
And to fill the void left by a drop in international student numbers.
The whole Northern transformation has been about Tasmanian students and domestic students.
The campus also set to become the uni's statewide professional services hub. An extra 200 jobs for Newnham, but the catch, anyone currently in those roles will eventually need to relocate to the north.
Because this is where the future home is going to be.
A consultation on the master plan will begin shortly. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
A long-standing public school figure and former MP has been appointed State Manager of Tasmania's Education Union. Brian Whiteman comes with an extensive resume. He's been a teacher, principal, Attorney General and Education Minister. But after spending the past 6 years at the Property Council, he says he's excited to return to his roots.
I can't wait to meet with educators again, to have those conversations about what it's like to be in the classroom, what it's like to be a teacher assistant, what it's like to run a school these days.
He will step into the role in November. Today's colder weather may not have felt like a true spring day, but the new season is upon us. And as the warmer weather approaches and people head outdoors, the Cancer Council is urging people to be sun smart.
Making sure they've got hats that protect their face, neck and ears, wearing sunglasses, sunscreen and seeking shade where possible. So we encourage people to do this when the UV is 3 and above, so that's why we need to start doing it now.
Melanoma is currently the 4th most common cancer in Tasmania. Across the country, 2 in every 3 people will be diagnosed with skin cancer before the age of 70. A team of emergency personnel flooded to Glenorchy this morning after a single vehicle rollover left a car balancing on its side. The incident occurred on Barossa Road just before 10:30, with the scene cleared around an hour later. No serious injuries were reported and an investigation is ongoing.
As AFL Tasmania reels from sweeping job cuts, a TSL coach is calling for the state government to step in. Glenorchy's Paul Kennedy wants a new role created independent of AFL House. With Tasmania bearing the brunt of a bleak AFL budget, Paul Kennedy wants a new state government-backed role focused on our interests.
We need someone to come in who can look and say what is best for Tasmanian footy here, where does the state government's investment need to go.
Kennedy claims the disappearing support structure around new boss Damien Gill will leave him stretched too thin, causing community and state league football to suffer.
The resources from the AFL in Tasmania are dropping, but the Tasmanian government puts a lot of money. They put around $8 million into the AFL industry, and so Tasmanian government and the Tasmanian people deserve a return on that investment.
One resource Kennedy won't have on the weekend is Mitch Rainbird. He's been banished by the tribunal for this sling tackle.
Players have now probably got to put the sling tackle in the bag, and I don't think we need to see it in the game now.
Launceston will be missing the injury-prone Tim Bristow, but the veteran is determined to make one final comeback this year.
It's a setback. It's the third time he's done a hamstring this year, so he's an ultra-professional guy. He'll get himself as fit as he can and hopefully be available for later in the year.
And in the Women's Premier League hockey, University has snapped a 24-game losing streak. The 1-0 defeat of Canterbury has the side off the bottom of the table at last.
Team spirits were really high and we just finally clicked to put that goal in and end up with a win.
The top two has taken shape after OHA went 4 games clear of third-place Derwent.
Our focus for the rest of the season is to keep our form and to work on our synergy as a team, so our passing, our connections through the lines.
And as expected, ladder leader Northwest Grads beat Diamondbacks.
Good evening. As expected, the first day of spring had temperatures plunging well below average. Lyawini started us off with a -7, the warmest today 15 at Bushy Park. Hobart 14 degrees, Launceston and Devonport 11, Burnie a high of 13. Grove and Smithton 14, St Helens, Strawn and the Islands all on 13, Lowhead 11, Lyawini did reach a top of 6. A few light showers over the west, north and south as cloud moved over in a northwesterly airstream today. A low pressure system to the west extends cloud over WA and South Australia. A cold pool of air follows that. Tomorrow, the cold front approaches Tasmania and should cross in the afternoon. A high pressure ridge moves over the eastern seaboard, a surface trough over the interior. Winds nor'westerly, initially at 15 to 25 knots, but increasing to 25 to 35 knots over the west and south, swells to 3 metres. A gale warning in place for waters between South East Cape and Sandy Cape, a strong wind warning from Sandy Cape to Stanley and also from Wineglass Bay to South East Cape and the Central Plateau Lakes. Hobart 17 tomorrow, becoming windy, 17 the top also for Geeveston, Bothwell partly cloudy, 15 the maximum. Launceston 16, showers developing, a windy day, 15 for Devonport with showers on the way, same for Cressy. 15 the high for Burnie with showers developing, showers and winds easing from Strawn, 15 the top, 16 for Curry on King Island. 17 for St Helens with a late shower. Swansea the same, 17 degrees and 16 the top for Orford. On Thursday, showers over the north and west, extending statewide for a period in the afternoon. Showers into Friday as well, but little reaching the east coast. And on Saturday, partly cloudy over the southeast with showers expected for most other regions. Showers in Perth tomorrow, sunny and 19 in Adelaide. A windy day with a late shower forecast for Melbourne, a top of 21. Sunny and 25 in Sydney, partly cloudy over Brisbane. Mostly clear in Hobart, it's 10 degrees at the moment. A few showers recently over Launceston, 8 at the moment, and 9 degrees and mostly cloudy in Devonport. You're probably wondering why I'm looking a bit thick tonight, Kim. I'm still wearing the thermals, and that's the only underwear we'll mention tonight.
Good idea. A vision I don't need. Thank you very much, Murph. That's your news for now. Thanks for your company this evening. Good night.